right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. We are asking to dialogue or not, and we have a team of young people here in studio. We want to hear their views on national issues, and we'd like to hear your views as well. Let me introduce them one more time, starting from the upper deck. There's Victor Kiprono, CEO, Zero Barefoot Campaign. Thank you for making time. Abdulaziz Mohammed is a youth leader. Asante sana for making time. Harrison Nganga is a youth leader from Kiambu. Thank you very much for making time. Jared Mugendi, advocate of the High Court. Asante sana for making time. Ashley Rono, youth leader from Baringo, is also here. Asante sana for making time. And John Wesonga, advocate of the High Court as well. Thank you very much for making time. And Omondi Koyo, Secretary General, National Liberal Party. Thank you very much for making time. Before we took the break, they had already given us their views on whether dialogue or not. Koyo, I'll come to you now. Is it time to talk or not?
Thank you very much, Trevor. I do not understand why you are asking us if it is time to dialogue or not, because how do you dialogue with someone who is pumping bullets into your head? How do you dialogue with someone who has had an uninterrupted grace for over 2 solid years to put the country together, but they have failed miserably? Time and again, the youth have always expressed their fears, their anger, dissatisfaction on how their resources are being managed. Instead of the government listening to them, the government responds through brutal suppression of their voices. The government responds by telling them that you are nothing. The only best dialogue that we can have with this government is that, number one, as a youth of this country, we must maintain peace. Number two, the only platform that we are going to organize for dialogue is August 2027 general election, where we are going to have real dialogue at the ballot. We are really thankful that now IEBC is in place. The only best thing that the youth can do unto themselves right now, close your ears onto all these noises you are seeing outside here or you are hearing outside here. What they are now calling dialogue, they are only trying to actually bring back what we call reorganizing the government structure so that they can accommodate people whom they feel will deny them votes in 2027. For us as a youth, the only thing that we must do right now is to come out, register as voters, and have serious dialogue on the ballot. But as for now, there is no serious structured dialogue that you can have with the regime that does not listen to the voices of the people. That if you question them how they are using your resources, then they respond with brutality. If you ask them why there is an excessive police force and how the police is actually responding to the street protest, the only thing they're telling you is that we shall abduct you. We don't need dialogue to stop enforced disappearances. We don't need dialogue to stop police brutality. We don't need dialogue for the police to stop pumping bullets into our heads. The cries of our people, our mothers, our children, and the blood that has flown in the streets of this republic is too much to bear. I heard the president ask last time that enough is enough. Perhaps what he forgot to tell the nation is how much blood is enough. Perhaps the only thing that the president ought to have asked the nation is when are we going to stop unnecessary deaths we are seeing in the streets? The Constitution of Kenya, Trevor, identifies the President of the Republic of Kenya as the symbol of national unity. It is his social responsibility to ensure that life and property is protected. When a president stands before the public and makes a pronouncement that you can be shot in the leg, then we feel it is just okay. It can't be okay. Whenever you are shot in the leg, that is already murder, because when you are shot in the leg, Trevor, there is something you call hemorrhage. You may bleed to death. When you are shot in the leg, it is going to interfere with serious tissues that are even supplying blood into your brain. So when the president is giving directive that you can be shot in the leg, so for him, it is okay to kill a citizen. Whom do you want to dialogue with? You want to dialogue with a disabled person? The president must come out and first of all apologize to the nation, apologize to our brothers and sisters who are living with various forms of disabilities, and tell the country that he did not mean actually to kill our people. Because when you are saying that shoot in the leg, that leg is part of the body. When you are telling your police to shoot our people in the leg, these very people you want to shoot in the leg are the very people whom you want to collect taxes from. How then are you going to govern us if you are shooting people in the leg? How are you going to govern? Why do you want to govern people who are disabled?
Wasn't there a caveat to the shooting in the leg that only those who are...
We cannot sit here while this guy is lying.
...property or killing people, those, wasn't that a caveat? Isn't that caveat?
Trevor,
Have you seen that in the
Presidential
protest?
pronouncements are not suggestions.
Let's start with the basics.
But there was a context to that discussion. It was not an open blanket.
Nothing justifies, Trevor, use of excessive police force, the police bullets. If the president, in his own wisdom, and we really respect him, if in his own wisdom, he sees that it was necessary for the police to use live bullets on innocent citizens, you cannot tell how the police is going to use that bullet or how the police is going to use the gun. The president is not a police officer.
Okay.
And the only thing that you ought to have actually asked our police to do, you saw what the CS for Interior did last time.
Of the orders?
The CS ordered that if you see any person approaching the police station with an intent either to destroy property, then why do we have our laws? We have laws that if there is an aggressor or if there is somebody who wants to actually do something that is outside the law, arrest and charge in a court of law.
Okay.
You don't shoot and kill people.
Okay.
And then you saw yesterday, Trevor, an MP in Kericho, Nelson Okoech,
perhaps a quick
also even telling people
Hold on.
that our people should be killed. That is not the country we want. We only have one country.
Okay.
And if you can hurt our people recklessly, and then you claim that that is right, then I think, Trevor, it is high time that we need to have a deep conversation on as to how then do we want to rule or govern this country.
Okay. Mugendi, let me hear Mugendi, then I'll come to you. Let's stick to the format. I'll come back to Victor. Yes.
Thank you, Trevor, and I appreciate being here. My first debutant ball with you. Perhaps we can begin from a neutral point for those who don't want to dialogue and those who don't want to dialogue. There are three principles my friend Dr. Ojwang always reminds me when we meet. One, never be so sure of what you want, you will not take something better. Number two, don't make an assumption that people don't love their country, however evil or bad you may feel they do. Number three, don't assume people are suicidal, whether in their political career or in their home lives, that they would want to end their lives or perhaps things that bring their structure too. The idea that people can sit on a table does not necessarily mean we'll have an outcome, but it means I will understand your perspective as much as I want you to understand my perception.
Hold the microphone closer.
Yes, my apologies. So what that means is perception versus perspective.
Yeah.
And that's perhaps what we are struggling to identify in this entire conversation. I know what I know, but what I know will not help me have a meaningful engagement with Trevor. I have to understand Trevor's perspective. And perhaps this divide has been made more apparent in the current political discussion, where the politicians have been pushed to one corner, and we've said, oh, they are dividing us, they have done all these bad things, and we have accepted they are all bad people. Fine. But the moment we turn the spotlight to the other side, apparently, once you call the government bad and this other side good, everyone else becomes a saint. And I do not agree with that assessment, because that assessment simply puts everybody on edge or into corners. But perhaps what we should try and suggest, because once you sit on a table is when you find out reality. I would want to see my friend explain to us how to balance the budget. I would want him to come and tell us how to repair a foreign image with practical examples, not suggestions from social media. Yeah? How to solve the Iran war crisis that perhaps was about to affect us because of the oil leaving the Strait of Hormuz. You know, when you sit on the table is when you find out that the reality actually has dawned on us. Let me give you another example. There was a young lady when Honorable John Badi was giving the a breakdown of in his numerous town halls, and she rose up with the same issue I'm hearing here, perspective versus perception. Her perspective was the government is going to tax milk, the government is going to tax unga, everything is vatable. In fact, the VAT is 18%. It has risen from 16%. Then she was asked, where is it in the bill? Now that particular lady was very vocal on TikTok and managed to convince a lot of people that the government is evil with seriously wrong examples. And perhaps that's what I would want to challenge each one of us here. Even if someone is evil, let us be factual in what we present to the table. Okay. For those who lied about the finance bill 2025, at least own up and say, I apologize. I mean, isn't that what we are calling for the government to do? If we are not able to do it ourselves, then we have become hypocrites, you know? I can see a situation where, for the first time, and this is what I don't mean everybody, you know, we should stop putting ourselves in a position where we have assumed that we're in a world where everybody is good and honest. We are all capable of the same evil that we think we cannot do. So, you have a situation, for instance, with the medical industry, where the doctors are for the first time saying, at least we have seen some progress that has never happened since independence. Now, anyone who gets to celebrate that becomes an evil person. I have brothers and sisters who work there. Yeah. And I know how much they appreciate that for the first time, there's some clarity. Progress, not perfection. Yeah. If we are talking about the security sector and about, say, right to protest, I agree. Please protest all you want. But for my grandfather who had to sleep under you know where you go to fix your car in the tunnel? Yeah. In Embu County, where he had to hide under there because someone was baying for his blood and he has a leg that cannot move properly, then I do not think that is a protest that someone should be defending for. Now, the US has demonstrated this with the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, that you can defend yourself if you are under attack. Now, if he has not faced that kind of a situation, then by all means, thank God. But for those of us who had people we loved being faced with a mob, and you know you have committed no wrong, or you have fed a community, or you have fed people who have all of a sudden turned on you, then perhaps that pronouncement can make sense to me. That, you know what, I don't deserve to die. Okay. That perhaps some of us who have had such situations should also be given a chance to also voice our side of the story.
I even see most of the panelists agreeing with you. That's a very sobering statement. Let's talk about something else, because it's really a matter of perception. It depends on where you stand. That determines what you think is the right thing to do. But Victor, let's now talk about the issues. So there's a general agreement that until we start talking, then we'll continue fighting. So if we were to talk today, what are the issues the young people are raising? And what are the possible solutions in their view? Let's start with you.
Thank you, Trevor. Before I delve into that, allow me only 10 seconds to say what Mr. Omondi was saying. Mr. Omondi is trying to tell us today that the president issued an order to shoot and kill. What was the context of that order? The context was that there are people who went and burned down property. There are people who went on rampage and destroying property and even killing innocent Kenyans. Today, burning a property is a second class to murder. When someone attacks a supermarket and burns a supermarket, assume, in your own assumption, assume that there are people inside doing their shoppings, there are tenants, there are employees there inside. And someone burns that supermarket. Assume that there are 50 people inside and they die. That is terrorism. The president is saying, shoot that person who is doing that burning of property, because that guy is a terrorist. The president is not saying shoot an innocent, perhaps, person walking down the street. The president is saying there is an armed group of people walking down the street and robbing people of their phones. The president is not saying shoot that person to kill. The president is saying simply disarm that person by shooting their food and take them to court. That is a fair assumption. Now, I have said this time and again, that the president has an oath of secrecy that is what to protect the Constitution, to protect property, and to protect the people of Kenya. He is the only person entitled to do that. And the mandate he has is to protect all of us as the father of the nation. Even as we talk of coming to dialogue, we must appreciate the position of William Ruto, His Excellency, as the head of state to protect property and to protect constitution. Now, I've heard, and allow me to say this for the record, in the recent press briefing that the former Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, said that the president is saying shoot to kill and is attacking our community. You see, that kind of recklessness is what we don't need even as we talk of dialogue. We want an holistic approach. This thing of saying our community, our people. If there are people who are going to destroy property, for example, in county supermarkets, in Mwea, for example, in Embu, in Eldoret, why do you talk about your community? Why are you owning up to goons? And the president is saying, shoot these people. And then you come again and say, you're killing our people. Then if you're telling us you're killing your people, then it means those goons are your people. That is actually what you're trying to say. Because why don't we call criminals for criminals, even if it's your brother? If today my brother is a thief and he is arrested, then let it be. Don't come here and telling us that they are your people. Now, coming to dialogue and what issues should be brought on the table. In the context of this dialogue, I hope the young people this time are going to be more objective. One, we need to understand the role of citizens and the role of the ruling class. As citizens, we voted and we have representation in parliament, we have representation in Senate, and we have the head of state. Our mandate is to become active citizens and to add our voices into having a good country. We need to be objective in saying, one, issues of education, for example. How can we streamline education so that when you go to university, issues of loans, issues of employment, issues that touches the young people. For example, the president is talking about employment. I've said this time and again, unemployment is not a Kenyan crisis. It's not an African crisis. It's a world crisis. If we are going to that dialogue table, let's go and discuss issues of how we can generate employment. People are talking about dialogue when other people are destroying other people's property. Let us dialogue and have a genuine concern as a country that as young people, what are some of the engineering ideas that we can generate to create employment?
All right.
Those are the kind of...
We are 7 of us here, so I just want us to raise just one issue each and what you think are the solutions in your perspective. So you've raised education. What is the problem and how do you want it sorted?
The problem about education is we need to have a seamless system of education. We need to, for example, nowadays we had issues with help. We need now to even bring in students from across board and discuss areas that are affecting young people who are in universities, who are in colleges. Okay. When we have that harmony, I think that is a very good place to start as young people.
All right. Abdulaziz, what are the issues in your perspective? But you're the only one here who seems not to agree with the issue of dialogue at all.
Yes,
I'd like to hear two things from you. One, so what is the alternative? If no dialogue, what is the alternative? And then what is that one issue that you think needs to be
before I come to that one issue, Trevor, if you had asked me to describe the current regime, I would call it a kakistocratic kleptocracy, which means a government that is run by the least qualified, and the same least qualified engage in corruption and stealing of public resources. And if you also allow me to borrow from the words of Reverend William Anderson Scott, who wrote in his book that was published in 1854, Daniel, a model for young men, he said, whom the gods wish to destroy, they first make mad. That is why you see Kenya Kwanza government acting in a very insane way, from fighting from 2 students to giving carte blanche to kill, giving the police carte blanche to kill. This is a government who even the gods wants to destroy before 2027. And I think this, in my opinion, this is a government that needs therapy more than dialogue.
So what is that one issue? What is the issue that you think is a problem and how do you want it addressed? I like how Mugendi put it, because what are the practical solutions? So what is the issue and what is the solution?
The issue is...
Just one.
The issue is we wait until 2027 and send them home.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. Because there's
once
nothing,
they go home,
there's no any other, we can only have a dialogue on August 8, 2027. that is going to be mediated by IEBC.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for you, it's just a new person who needs to come?
Yes.
Nothing else?
Yes.
Okay, Harrison?
Thank you, Trevor. For me, let me pick it up from where Wakili has left, that first we must agree there is a problem from both sides. Before even we solve it, we must agree. You see, the problem with us Kenyans is only to look at a fellow Kenyan or a government person and say there is a problem there. But from this side, we really don't love to acknowledge that we also have, we contribute to the problem that Kenya faces. So before we even go to that dialogue, we must agree from a clean heart that there is a problem on both sides. So I will pick the issue of youth unemployment and also youth inclusion in government. Mr. Victor there said that unemployment is not a problem for our country, it's an international problem. But we can see as Kenya, one, we thrive in agriculture, and we have also seen young people become creative to invest in digital economy, in creative economy. We need to think about our policies, what can work for our young people. There is that perception that young people don't want to get to agriculture. It's a dirty business, or it's a dirty employment. We need to think, how do we change perception so that we get young people being also entrepreneurs? Also, in terms of creative and digital economy, we need to check out our policies. What can we do better, and what can we bring on the table so that we have more people gaining from creative and the digital economy? And apart from that, the youth inclusion. We need to think about our population in Kenya as for the young people. Our population currently is around 35%, carries in our population. 35% needs to reflect in every government department, in every government ministry. So it's a point of we need to rethink and see young people as co-creators so that we can include them in solving the problem Kenya faces. We can't just be on one side talking about young people when we need them to come out in the streets, when we need them to join a rally somewhere. We need now to bring them to the table and help solve the issues, because sometimes we may blame our leaders and we may put the advocacy against our leaders, but they might not have the solution. We young people have the solutions. We have the perception of our own problems. We just need a table, we need a chair somewhere on that table, and we'll solve it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's stick to the format, then we'll come back that way. So, Ashley, what is your issue number one, and how should it be resolved?
Wow, thank you.
Assuming you have the chance at the table of this dialogue thing. So you're given a chance. What will you say?
Okay, thank you, Trevor. And I really like what Oyo had said, and the way he's also cocooning himself somewhere, saying the president is not a police. So what shows, inaonyesha, like, it shows that you are not targeting the right audience. Like, you are taking, okay, the police killed someone. We are now saying the president, like, you're now going to attack now the president. So the first issue which I'll bring is that let's target the right audience. Let's go to these platforms where we feel we can now take the dialogue there. Let's go to these leaders, the specific leaders which we want to. Let's go to these institutions which we feel they need to be answerable for these actions they are doing. Like, now, how did we start the protest for this year? The first thing was Ojwang's dead. Ojwang was dead. We had now to go. We are now going after the police. Then we now started to shift the attention again back to somebody who doesn't even know. We usually say with my colleagues, a police shoots someone in the streets. Then now the president himself is also saying, look at this one. Why kill another person? So we have to target we have to know where are we targeting our anger, our solutions, the change which we want, who are we targeting to? So that's the first position, how I feel. And also another thing which I'll add on is that mental health. We take it as a normal joke, like we take it as not an issue at hand. But we are living in a generation where people suffer from depression. A lot of people are depressed. A lot of people have their frustration, and they see the only way we can do this is just going to the street. I have nothing to live for. I have a failed life already. I'm a failure myself through drugs, using the drugs and everything. And there's this, I saw this research somewhere. In 500,000 people, is a ratio of 1 to 500 people. 1 psychiatrist to 500 people. So we have also to build on our mental health thing. We now come and sit down, okay, we should do this, you should not go to that street. You can't come and argue with someone telling him you should not go to that street and protest because you feel without having been mentally stable and is depressed, you feel like this is the government, it doesn't give me the job. This is the government that doesn't do this. But you'll find someone at least who has accepted, like, okay, I'm now depressed, but I need to find a solution. You'll find him going to that street, collecting papers and doing everything. We were with our colleagues and we were sitting and we were like, okay, we are national leaders. What can we do? And in the place where I represent the youth, where I serve as the deputy AGS up, and we were like, we should now sit down for this dialogue. Last year they did a dialogue, but there was not. What can we do? Sit down, make a task force of comprising of 150 people. We collect the data and now see on our way through. That's from a solution point. We go to visit and we were with the CS youth and we were telling him about that, and we got a chance to meet the PS sports, and he was telling us, at now, they have invested a lot of things in the sport opportunities. They are now building stadiums. We should see that. I used to say, no, SHA is not working until I experienced how SHA work. So I think also in a point where we need to get the real information. The government is doing a lot, but the information is not flowing to the people at the grassroots level. People are not seeing the change which is done. So I think we should also be the custodians of knowing what is going wrong. We take it to our people as leaders.
All right.
So, yeah, thank you.
Wesonga, I'm still struggling to get practical issues and the solution. So if you're sitting on the table of the dialogue and they're having a conversation, what do you state as your issue and how do you suggest it to be resolved? Because there's this blanket statements that we make. Yeah, unemployment is there. We need jobs. But when you're asked, what would you do in your own capacity, or what do you suggest?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Trevor. And before I answer, I respond to your question, allow me just 10 seconds, a quick rejoinder to my friend here, Oyo. He said that the president is symbol of national unity and is the custodian of everything, including security and whatnot, and you should make sure that your property and the life is protected. But at the same time, he's saying the president has ordered people to be killed and whatnot. In fact, it is from that duty as a national security leader and a symbol of national security that the president was concerned, and he raised that issue. You can't come in the pretext of protesting, but you are looting, you are destroying other people's property, you are killing not only other people but the police, and you expect everything to just be okay. It is that duty that the president said, kindly, if you come to destroy, you will incapacitate you and take you to hospital before you go to court. So the context sometimes matters a lot. And also to my brother who said that he doesn't need dialogue. What he needs is 2027 to vote and these people to go. Mark you, when we vote again, we will only change the person at the helm. But machineries of the government are the same. They never change. People who really do the real work in the government, they never change. It's the same. The constitution is the same. The rules and regulations are the same. We will change, yes, this person, whom we are saying the symbol of national unity. But everything will remain the same. So until such time that we realize we need to have a serious conversation, we need to come up with the real issues, with the real practical solutions. We will always be in a 5-year cycle. We vote for someone. After 3 months, we realize, oh, the government is still the same. We go to the streets, we protest, again, the same problems reoccur again and again and again. So it is high time we need to be genuine with ourselves. We need to have a conversation with ourselves, deep conversations, suggesting real problems, coming up with real problems, with real solutions to those problems. Now, answering your question about something, if I'm on the negotiation table and I'm asked to present something that I see is a problem right now, I think as Kenyans, we are living beyond our means. Even our constitution, it is a living document with soul that that is growing. I think our provisions in the constitution and our offices that this constitution gave us we are unable to kind of live to the expectation of the Constitution. It is high time we need to ask ourselves what is really working for us and what is not working for us. We need to give solutions to problems that are ailing us as a country. For example, things to do with budgeting. For the longest time, we as Kenyans, we've been unable to finance our own budget. We are relying on loans, be it external, internal, bonds and whatnot. Why can't we realize that this is over and above our means? We reduce things to do with budgeting. For example, I will suggest, let us scrap off the Senate. Let us do away with the positions of, for example, women rep. Let us do away with positions of deputy governors. Let us empower the MCS so that they can be able to, because MCS are the people who have real problems with the real people on the ground. We gave ourselves these positions, and we are saying they are liberal. Yes, we want to live like, for example, Americans and the European countries. Our constitution, yes, it is one of the best in the world. But do we have resources to finance the same? We've been relying on loans. Okay. Is it high time we need to rethink about that? The salaries that we are paying to our government officials, for example, things to do with, for example, senators. Why can't we merge these two chambers of parliament? We just have one parliament and we empower it. All right. Why can't we come up with practical solutions to these problems? Yeah. That will really enhance things to do with budgeting, because I think 70%, if not 80%, of our budget goes to recurrent, paying salaries, paying allowances and whatnot. If we try to reduce that and we take this money and try to create something to do with, my brother said about education. Yeah. We streamline education from kindergarten to the tertiary level, make it free. And by the end of the day, we will not have this cries left, right, center.
Now, those are practical solutions, but it will require a referendum, but at least they're practical solutions. Koyo, what are the issues and what are the solutions?
Before I get to the issues, you know, this issue of shooting people in the leg is only funny, Trevor, before your sister, your child, your mother, your father has been shot in the leg.
Who is a thief?
Let me remind my brothers and sisters that Regan Omondi, a 23-year-old boy, was shot in the leg and in the hand. He was then admitted at Kibera Level 4 Hospital. Unfortunately, the boy succumbed. It's not a joke. On the issue of us having dialogue, President William Ruto is the only president Kenya has for now. Nobody's contesting that. But our people are just reminding him that, Mr. President, it is possible to govern the Republic of Kenya through constitutionalism. It is possible to do that which is required of you, that which you promised Kenyans. The only best dialogue the president can have with the people of the Republic of Kenya, let him dialogue with his manifesto. All these stories that we are being told is just a clear manipulation from the political class to ensure that they create additional political offices. That, after dialogue, remember, now they are calling it a conclave, intergenerational conclave. In 2018, they were calling it handshake. In 2013, I don't know it was what. In 2008, it was what did you call it in 2008? So all politicians will always find ways. Every time there is a crisis, they want to thrive out of it. But the only thing that they achieve out of that crisis is to create their own unconstitutional political offices. Let Mr. President sit down with his manifesto. Him, President William Samoei Ruto, versus his manifesto. Look at it. The issues that our youths are raising today, issues to do with unemployment, issues to do with healthcare, issues to do with education, the funding model, university funding model. Those are all issues that Mr. President actually talked about in his manifesto. He should just now have a sit down with his manifesto, ask his manifesto, my manifesto. I promised that I'll be building 100,000 kilometers of road. How many kilometers have I done so far? I promised that I will industrialize Kenya. What have I done so far? That is the best dialogue that Mr. President can have for now. But if we were to allow ourselves to be moving in circles time and again, that if every time there is a political crisis, then the only thing we can do is to start telling our people that can you come so that we can have a dialogue. What form of dialogue are we going to have so that we can stop enforce disappearance? What form of dialogue are we going to have? We don't need dialogue, Trevor, to stop police brutality. You don't need dialogue to stop this issue of stealing public funds. You don't need dialogue, Trevor, to stop what we call the extrajudicial killings. You don't even need dialogue to stop abductions. The people who have been abducting these young people, they didn't have dialogue with us to start asking us that, can we start abducting you next week? And in which form do you want us to abduct you? They didn't ask us that we want to steal your money. How much do you want us to steal this week? So the way they started abducting us, let them go and have their own meeting. Stop abducting our young people. Let them stop stealing money from us. Otherwise, for now, the only best thing that we can do is to ask our people to maintain peace. Criminality does not know race, criminality does not know your age, criminality does not know your color, criminality does not know your tribe. We are all in agreement that a criminal has got no any other name other than a criminal. If you have to step out there that you are going to protest, remember where your right stops is where mine begins. It is your right to demonstrate peacefully and unarmed. So far, Trevor, I have never seen any single Kenyan who has been arrested, let's say, having a licensed firearm that they were using against fellow protesters. Instead, we have seen people who others have been calling in sections of the media that state-sponsored militia, people walking around with clubs to clobber and beat up peaceful protesters while the police is cheering them and watching them on. Trevor, today, you may find it funny that you can use the goons to terrorize peaceful protesters in the streets of Nairobi. Tomorrow, when they are done terrorizing peaceful protesters in the streets of Nairobi, they will walk into your homes in Runda, they will walk into your homes in Muthaiga, then they will finally come for you in Karen. And Trevor, the monster you are feeding today will come up to actually eat you in the future. Okay. I urge upon all our leaders, please let us stop taking our country for granted. Yeah. We don't have any other country. This is our country, and we must make it work for all of us.
All right. Mugendi?
I've had a very good time listening to some of the comments, and I only find myself asking a few questions. I would want to see some of my friends here. If this government is required to fix a mess of more than 30 years in 2 years, I would want to see their personal life fixed in less than a year, because then we can talk of practicality of what you're saying. If it is true they have a right to protest, there was a recommendation by, I think, the Cabinet Secretary Public Service right now. He had put forth a bill. Everybody said the bill was nonsense. But if you come close to the 16 pages of the bill, where he really tried to balance the right, that in fact some of the things that he mentioned, if I can just pick out some of them, your right to protest can even interrupt traffic. That all you need to do is announce that you have a convener, you have someone who is accountable, that this right, first of all, exists. But what it does not do is stop me from doing business. Now, what I've heard in the media is quite different, and what I've heard here is quite different. The other thing that he said, if you give the officer in charge of the particular area where the protest is taking place that notice, and he gives you maybe a funny explanation, you can go to court in 3 days, and that decision will be rescinded. That has not been spoken about. I've not heard him say that. Whether you are talking about the protesters being guided into a route using marshals, who does not want to be shown a path which does not interfere with other people who may not want to protest? Unless we are talking about a blank, everybody gets to do what they do. If that is exactly what we are saying, then perhaps we have adopted the ideology of Alistair Crowley, who said anyone can adopt whatever emotion you want to do. We become 2-year-olds. 2-year-olds are the ones who operate on whims. Today, I feel like I can wake up and go terrorize Trevor's household. I can knock as early as 6 a.m. I can put on loud music as much as I want, but it's my right. I have a right to listen to the music I want. That is the output. You know, the conversation is free throw. That is the output we want to make. But in terms of practicality, in terms of national issues, one, there has been proposals in our finance bill. Actually, they have now become law, that retirees will not be taxed. Perhaps one of the things that we should be doing, and I've heard we are all national leaders here, is recognizing that, number one, we have democratized everything, including knowledge. And our people are perishing because of lack of knowledge. If the so-called leaders are ignorant, then our people have no hope. And now that the national leaders, we've called them hopeless, even the ones who are self-appointed are also quite ignorant. So the hopelessness is exceeding its allowed limits. So one thing that perhaps we should be training our people on is the tax code. Do people know how to file their taxes so that you have allowable deductible tax? That is somewhere we can start. Now, does that require government intervention? I do not think so. We have advanced pricing agreements. Some of the people here have very huge titles. Perhaps they work for multinationals. I think my friend from the north works for a multinational. There is an advanced pricing agreement where you can enter into a tax agreement for 5 years with the government. Yeah? Practical things that do not need government intervention. We have democratized everything that nowadays you don't need a university to learn what you need to learn. I work in the AI space as much as I'm an attorney. And I have seen, if you're able to do good prompting, if you're able to organize yourself in a way that you can even create some small agents that can solve people's problems, you have done well for yourself. But the problem is this idea that someone is going to fix my life, and I am going to tell them how to fix my life. And if they don't do it the way I want to tell them, I will sing about it from morning to evening. I do not think that is how you solve a national issues. I do not think that is how to move forward. Maybe lastly, because I picked the taxation issue. If we can start from the taxation issue, we could also start to learn that there are a lot of people who don't pay taxes. And perhaps those are the problems we should be having. That's why I encouraged him, please come to the table and tell us, how do we balance this budget when we have an economy, ideally called black economy, that every one of us knows, that money does not go through the regular system, but it is money that is keeping people afloat. Because I tend to think young people feel that they are not successful because they don't own a Rolls Royce. You know, I'm not successful because I don't live in Runda, so I am doing poorly. I am not successful because my brother has an iPhone and I own an Infinix or a Note. Perhaps that is one of the things that should encourage my brethren here who do not agree with dialogue from that perspective. That what is exactly our idea of success as a country? Yeah, is our idea of success that everybody has 2 million shillings in the bank account? Is our idea of success that everybody on the road has a car? Is our idea of success that everybody has a shoe like mine comes from Jeffrey's Code? Is that the idea of success that we have? That everybody is successful like Trevor because they are on national TV? Because perhaps those are the pressures that we are having, because every time you scroll on social media, everybody seems to be doing better than you. And maybe that is the same kind of resentment that we are transferring to the national stage, in the sense that the government has failed.
So you feel this is personal initiative for everyone?
I honestly feel that if we start from an individual perspective, we can have a better country. The United States military have a philosophy. Before you go fix the world, fix your bed in the morning. If you have a poor bed, a poor bedroom, you honestly cannot go fix the country. Because if you are disorganized, and I've had it preached even in terms of people who have made it in life with lots of money. If you want to have a lot of money in life, it's an ideological issue. What are the principles you stand for? Number one, if you are unclean, You cannot put two things together. Your suit is unkempt. My hair does not matter. I do what I want. Money and those two things don't agree. But you know, to say that, it means, now he has come to preach to us.
Yeah,
but for someone who wants to listen, they know it is true. People who have done well themselves have started by organizing themselves. I have a schedule. I have things I have to do. Commerce, people who have survived even in the worst of governments. No, the government will never make you rich. That is a principle we all know. Oh, they have to give us a good system. They have to survive. Every single person who we claim has done well for themselves, and there are many, and perhaps they don't even want to be known. No one principle is sure. If you put your own house in order, if you target one thing and you get very good at that particular thing, it is the government that will need you, not the other way around. And I have just one example from a young man in Embu. I seem to forget his name. He does a lot of cabros. Came out of nowhere. While other people in his village were complaining how there is no employment, we have not been given jobs, we have not been done what, he got very good at organizing a business model that caters to the market of cabros. He identified a market and he used it. Now, I'm not saying we all become entrepreneurs. We can't.
Or we all do cabros.
We won't do cabros. You know?
Yeah.
But is that the story we are giving to young people? Or we are selling them the story that, protest and remove the government and immediately your life will be better? We have seen countries that have done that. Yeah. Libya now is a wasteland. Okay. We have seen countries like... what's this former country that I'm losing it because I'm trying to finish my point. The same point is, if your idea has been tested somewhere else and the output is the opposite of what you're telling us, then I think they should also apologize the same way they are telling the government to apologize, because their ideas, we have seen the output has been the opposite.
Okay. Let me bring up some feedback here. There's a lot going on. Let's hear what the people are saying, and then I'll come to each and every one of you. Give you 2 minutes each for closing remarks because we're running out of time. We have just about 15 minutes to go. Babu Michael says, Trevor, dialogue could help save the current situation if it were honest and involved sober minds. But as things stand with the deaths, injuries, shoot to kill orders, and brutality, genuine dialogue feels nearly impossible. Before anything else, we must see justice. Without justice, there can be no trust, and without trust, no meaningful dialogue. Okay? Kiberenge says dialogue has always been exploited as a tool for seeking temporary calm, pushing grievances under the carpet and postponing the problems. We don't need dialogue to end extrajudicial killings, corruption, and good governance. Implement the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Frank Orinde says many youth and citizens have lost trust in dialogue, and with good reason. Past talks have delivered little. It's the same old script, elite bargains, empty promises, and no real change. Dialogue has too often become a tool that benefits the powerful, not the people. That's why many are now demanding action, not handshakes. Leonard Masika says if there's any group that has been consistently sidelined in this country, it's the youth. The biggest problem is misrepresentation. Decisions are made for us, not by us. The real solution, we the youth must go for these positions come 2027. We can't keep waiting to be invited to the table. It's time to build our own. As for dialogue, it hasn't worked. We've had too many, including NADCO. Okay? Nixon says, who are doing something you don't believe is right. Rumors says, before we talk about intergenerational national conclave to address the crisis in our country, first, what happened to the NADCO report? Do you think the president is somebody who listens? He had a chance in 2024 to change after Gen Z's protest, but he didn't. No goodwill. Michael says Kenya has had too much dialogue in the past, and almost always it's the politicians who benefit, not the people. So what's next? We need action, not more talk. Number one, ensure equality in public appointments, merit over loyalty. Number two, deliver justice for all, regardless of status or connections. Number three, uphold and follow the law, interpret it as written, not for convenience. And number four, invest in mental health. All right? Victor, closing remarks, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Trevor. I think we've had a very good discussion today, and I agree with majority of my panelists that we need a dialogue. And as I close today, I think the problem that we face as a country today, and the real elephant in the room, is tribalism. We are a country where we play a lot of local politics. The real elephant in our politics is tribalism. Today, you see the political class talking about our people, mtu wetu. That ideology in itself is the cancer of our politics in Kenya. Today, the regroupings that are being organized, and even when we do demonstrations and the targeted speeches of politicians and everything, draws back to tribalism. The problem that is there nowadays, and this is what I want to challenge the young people, as the young people. If we want to move forward as a country and have a prosperous Kenya, we need to move away from the cocoon of tribalism. Today, I've had people argue that the rebellion that we have in Kenya today is a Kikuyu rebellion. It's not a Gen Z rebellion. Some believe it, some don't. But to a larger extent, it is the truth. Because there are people who argue that today, because a Kalenjin is a president, and the president actually noted that fact, that why was it in the time of Kibaki, in the time of Uhuru Kenyatta, there were no such kind of protest. I will remind you that under Uhuru Kenyatta, there were a lot of injustices meted on Kenyans. Under Kibaki, there were a lot of injustices meted on Kenya. I remember the Mount Elgon massacre, which happened in 2008 under the watch of Mwai Kibaki. There were not such kind of protests. People have argued. And the issue of politics in Kenya, this, even if we talk about dialogue, national conclave, and everything, and handshakes, and whatsoever, our politics is local. The problem that we face in our Kenyan politics is tribalism. Today, if we are going to organize and reorganize ourselves for 2027, we will still go back to our tribal cocoons.
Okay.
The thing is, the young people, my generation, we are only going to have a successful, prosperous Kenya if we are going to be focused and see ourselves beyond the tribal lines, have a path for ourselves, and journey through. And I encourage my young panelists today, and my brothers and sisters, go for these elective positions. Be the voice of reason that we need in National Assembly, in County Assembly, because we are failing as a country because we don't have proper kind of leadership and voices that we need at the national level, at the county levels. Today, corruption is decentralized because we don't have people who can stand and give us voice of reason. I encourage us, the young people, as I end, that go for this position and journey the country towards the right direction.
For these positions. Abdulaziz, closing remarks, very briefly.
And Trevor, if you look closely at each and everyone that is supporting this current regime, there is one thing they have common, and that is they talk too much and say too little. Now, for a nation to heal and to move forward, it must listen to its people. And this dialogue ought to have come long time ago, if at all it was genuine. And this is the part of history where our children are going to ask us why there was no one who stood against them. And I want to urge each and every Kenyan, irrespective of their socio-economic status, irrespective of their ethnicity, to stand up, take the ones who don't have IDs to take their IDs, and let's vote this government out.
Harrison?
Yeah, thank you. For me, I would say one thing, dialogue, and my fellow Kenyans, dialogue is not surrender. It's just a point of us getting back to see how can we solve our current problem, how can we go forward as a country. And I would want us to, one, listen to one another, listen to understand, to solve what is the issues amongst ourselves, and also to solve us, change ourselves, because at the end of the day, we cannot look at the bigger picture if we don't look on changing the simple things that affect us as a person.
All right.
And lastly, I would say in an association that we lead with Ashley, we have taken it up, a structured national youth dialogue, and come up with a committee for 150-member committee. And we'll be moving in to listen to young people, to our fellow young people, come up with solutions that we can solve and be co-creators for this nation. Let us choose that path, be co-creators and critical friends to our government, to our leaders, and to also our fellow friends and our fellow Kenyans. Thank you.
Ashley, closing remarks.
Thank you. I really say nobody likes, no one enjoys going to the streets and coming back to receive statistics of cold bodies which have died, every day having new numbers and increasing the numbers. And I come up with a question to this generation, the generation you are leading, the young leaders we are we ready to inherit ashes as a generation? Are we ready to vote responsibly? From moving from being voters to being responsible voters and responsible leaders in our respective places. Are we ready to leave the tokenism nature and the tokenism way we are going through to coming to a transformational way? And I say, dialogue is not weak, is not showing weakness, but it's showing wisdom in our part. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trevor, for having us here. You know, human beings, we are social in nature. No matter what we do, we will always end up in one or the other, not agreeing and agreeing. And the only way we can be able to agree to disagree is by talking and having conversations, and genuine conversations moving forward. I think this generation, our generation right now, the youths, we are too entitled. It is high time we realize that it is not just my way. There's always another way. And that other way, maybe it worked better than my way. Okay. We can always come together, we can always have conversations and remove this idea of if it is not me, then no one else. Okay. If it is not my person, then no other person. This is our country, we don't have any other country, and we owe it to the future generation to preserve this country, because it is not only our duty, it is our responsibility, and it is our moral duty to make sure that the next generation have a country to enjoy. Thank you.
Koyo?
Thank you. It is important to remind the president that peace and the security of the country is his sole responsibility. That is not negotiable at all. Nobody is against his leadership. He must now rise up to the occasion and live by that which he promised Kenyans. To all Kenyans, please let us ensure and remember that the peace that we yearn to have and the good governance that we wish to see as a country is our responsibility. Let each and every sober Kenyan out there who is an adult take the matter of security and the peace of the country as a serious matter, so that we do not actually fall into the cases where we find ourselves in the 2-8, 2-9. Lastly, Kenya is a highly religious country. Our people have been united through grief. The cries and the tears and the blood that has been shed is too much. We are calling upon the government, please ensure that in as much as people are exercising their democratic right as given or as provided for under Article 37, remember that Article 1 also empowers the people, and read it together with Article 26 that talks about the right to life. Let us not take away people's life because of street protest. Okay. And for those who are infiltrating the peaceful street protest, please stop that bad manners and ensure that those who are having their right to protest does so peacefully, without violence, without intimidation, and without bloodshed.
Okay. Gendi.
My last word is we think by talking, and the more we talk, the more we think. And to talk is to risk being offensive. And I want to encourage each and everyone who can hear us today, please ensure that any space that you are in, you are able to tolerate a divergent opinion. You cannot speak ex cathedra like the Pope. You cannot speak like you are infallible. You cannot speak like you are the only one who is suffering in this country. You cannot speak like you are the only one who loves this country more than the other person. You cannot think like everyone else is suicidal. We are being brought to a stage where, as long as we are alive, we have to understand that we have an opportunity every single day to do better. For our young people, we can do better. And we start by owning to ourselves. Fix your own messes in your life first before you go to the national stages, because those ones will always be there, and they will always be there. But look inward first. Correct the flaws of your character. Be practical in what you do every day. Now you can step on the national stage and tell the government what you need to tell it to. Because like it or not, it always starts with you.
Okay. Thank you very much for making time this morning. Abdulaziz Mohammed, Youth Leader. Harrison Nganga, Youth Leader from Kiambu. Ashley Rono, Youth Leader from Baringo. Mondi Koyo, Secretary General, National Liberal Party. Victor Kiprono, CEO, Zero Fair Campaign. Jared Mugendi, Advocate of the High Court. And John Wesonga, Advocate of the High Court. Thank you all for making time for us this morning and for speaking to us. And thank you all for the feedback that you sent through. That wraps it up for Daybreak now. But then coming up is Ben Sue and a DJ on the decks. It's Level Up. See you. Have a fantastic weekend ahead. Bye for now.